But for now, we should probably put aside this rousing discussion of vagina maggots to continue our wonderful story set in the beautiful land of Hinamizawa. We're doing one tonight. So we're going back to our normal sketch. Phone's ringing. Pick it up.
すまなかった、レナ。
Yo, phone's ringing. Phone's ringing. Rena's calling. Nice. Rena really, really needs a hug this time.
俺はどこかでレナの話を疑ってたよ。本当にすまない。
いいよ、ケイチ君。そのおかげで待ち伏せをやり過ごせたんだしね。
あいつらは何者なんだ。そのお社様信仰を復活させようとする信者の集団の手先。
彼らにはそういう自覚はないと思う。彼らを操っている黒幕はそうなんだと思うけどね。多分ダム戦争の当時から陰で様々な工作をしてきた連中なんだと思う。
ダム戦争の最中に園崎家が裏でいろいろと暗躍したって話は俺も少しは聞いたことがあるな。
The white van is a white van.
有名な話だよね。これは大石さんに聞いたんだけど、ダム戦争の最中に誘拐事件があったんだって。これも秘密の事件なんだけど、なんでも建設大臣の孫を誘拐してダム建設中止の約束を裏取引したんだって。
大臣の孫を誘拐？おいおい、そんなの聞いたことないぞ。
大臣が犯人との取引に応じる姿勢を見せたため、事件を公にしないことになったんだって。大石さんは当時その事件に関わったから知ってるんだって。
うん。それで？
大石さんが言うには、孫の誘拐や大臣の脅迫などの手口は恐ろしいほどに高度だったんだって。その事件は園崎家が命令を下したことだけは分かっているけど、結局未解決なんだって。
That gosh dang Sonozaki family again.
当時園崎家の当主である園崎お涼は武装闘争の方針を打ち出していて、配下である暴力団組織の中に特攻隊を組織したそうなの。ダム計画の撤回がどうしても望めないときは建設省に突入して武力制圧しようなんて、そんな物騒な計画を本気で練っていたらしいの。
It's one of those tell granny to shut the fuck up moments. Everybody knows that the Sonozaki family had tried to stop the dam project, even if it meant breaking the law. So I wasn't surprised to hear that she had a dangerous plan like that. Additionally, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Mion who came up with the idea. The plan sounded just like her.
結局その計画は計画のままで終わったんだけど、それを実行するための特攻隊の訓練というのは行われていて、相当高度なものだったらしいよ。
Well, we know that they do things, like their hands aren't clean. The Sonozakis aren't clean, but they're kind of like using what's happening in this sequential order of murders. They're kind of using it as a front to kind of build themselves up by not really saying they've done anything, but they're strong enough that the implication can be made with their silence, I think, is what's going on. Oishi had uncovered the information right after the dam conflict ended. At the time, Oryo even said that if the village was going to be submerged, all members of the Onikafuchi Guardians would choose to stay in their houses and drown. So because Oryo was behind these things, I couldn't just laugh off the idea of an armed assault on the Ministry of Construction. According to the information Oishi seized, she planned a suicide mission as a last resort when the dam conflict started to heat up in case the resistance wasn't successful. Twitch is saying that I'm playing Onikakushi. Let me fix that. I think that the game kind of goofs sometimes. Let's see here. I can fix that right now. Okay, there we go. Boom. There we go. We're now playing Tsumihoroboshi Part 6. There we go. That should fix it. Sorry about that. I'd like to thank Sayara for disrupting and ruining the stream entirely. Thanks, Sayara. Much appreciated. She had actually obtained weapons and put people through training for the sake of that plan. The Special Attack Corps were flown to America, having received a huge amount of money from Oryo in the operation. In the southern desert of the United States, some retired military soldiers gave them highly professional training. While the plan was never carried out, the Special Attack Corps became a death squad under the direct control of Oryo after they came back from America. They were involved in the many unsolved terrorist incidents and succeeded in the kidnapping of a grandson of the minister as well.
嘘みたいな話だな。
みーちゃんがよくヘリの操縦から無線機まで何でもできるみたいなことを言うでしょ。あれは本当。みーちゃんも当時その訓練に参加してるらしいよ。
Oh boy, are you telling me that Mion is a member of Foxhound?
じゃああいつ本当に。
まあみーちゃんの話はともかく、このひなみ沢には大臣の孫すらも誘拐できるだけの暗殺部隊が存在するってことだけは疑っちゃダメ。
That's why she open carries. Mion Copter is becoming a reality. I didn't take a close look at the four men in the white van today, but thinking about it, they did look professional in a way. They were pretending to just be taking a break, but I could tell they were tense the whole time.
あいつらはレナの命を狙っているのか?
You know, it's awful. It's pretty funny that, for some reason, my stream switched over to saying we were streaming Onikakushi now that I think about it. That's pretty funny.
多分狙ってはいないと思う。殺すだけだったら私もう殺されてるよ。
じゃあ狙いはまさかあれか、高野さんのスクラップ帳。
圭一君が見た通り、連中は相当警戒心が強いみたいで、隙を見つけない限りは強引な手段に訴えてこないみたいなの。だって強引な連中なら私の自宅の寝込みを襲えばいいんだから。
それをしないってことは結構慎重だってことになるな。
多分私がスクラップ帳を持っているという確信がないからだと思うの。彼らはミオさんを殺し、持っていたスクラップ帳を全て処分しようとした。ところが一番重要な数冊が抜けていた。それで自分が狙われているのを察して誰かに預けたんじゃないかと考えてるんだと思うの。その有力候補が私なんだと思う。でも確証がないから強引な手段に訴えられないんだろうね。
レナ、お前かなりヤバい橋を渡ってるんじゃないのか。
そうだね。ちょっと怖いかな。でもそう簡単には消されないよ。私は大石さんと連携している。
This is a good plan. Cooperating with Oishi-san, like nothing bad would ever come of this.
有事の際に備えて常に連絡を取り合っているしね。
そうだ、大石さんはどう言ってるんだよ。
大石さんも園崎家が何らかの暗躍をしていないか監視してくれてるよ。
高野さんのスクラップ帳の話はしたのか。
うん、話してない。
警察には話した方がいいだろう。それに警察ならきっと力になってくれるぞ。
圭一君、私は君にだって信じてもらえるか自信がなくて話せないでいるんだよ。大石さんに話したって絶対に信じてもらえるわけがない。
なあレナ、もう煙に巻くのはなしだ。話してくれ。一体何なんだ。何がスクラップ帳に書いてあるんだ。高野さんが消されるほどの何が書いてあるんだ。
簡単に言うと、このスクラップ帳に書いてあることが事実なら彼らの神が貶められることになるの。
神を貶める？
そう、お社様の神聖性が失われてしまう。だからお社様信仰を復活させようとする彼らは絶対に伏せたいと思っているの。
すまん、レナ。
Attack into its own god!
わかりやすく言ってくれ。
Higurashi is just a JRPG!
つまり、どういうことなんだ？
つまり、お社様は神様じゃないってことなの。
神様じゃない？
I had no idea what she read that made her so certain, but whatever it was, it'd be sacrilegious for people who believed so strongly in Oyashiro-sama. Explain it to me like I'm 5. How's it going, Styles? Hope you are doing well this evening.
お社様の教えっていくつもあるけど、その原点はたったの一つしかない。それは中から出るな、外から入るなというもの。この大原則を守るためにその他の教義を発展させたと言ってもいいくらい。隣人を愛せとか家内安全とか縁結びの神様なんてのは本当に後から取ってつけたものでしかないの。
In other words, Oyashiro-sama existed solely to stop the villagers from going outside the village. Oyashiro-sama doesn't bless the villagers or protect them from disasters. The people believe that Oyashiro-sama does all that for them, but the truth is the people's abused his name for that purpose generation after generation, and nothing more than that. You were highly caffeinated, but still tired, just faster. Maybe you'll be able to get to sleep faster. Sayara! Post this tree! Why did Oyashiro-sama descend in the first place? Because demons came out of the Onigafuchi swamp and attacked
実
people.
はこの時点で解釈が違ってたの。鬼が湧き出して襲ったんじゃない。湧き出したものにやられると人々を襲う鬼になるの。
湧き出したもの？どういう意味だよ？
Man, I'm gonna fucking laugh when this tree ends up being the fucking culprit. That'd be the greatest thing ever. Whatever came out of the swamp possessed people, crawled into their blood, controlled them, and turned them into demons. People had no resistance against whatever it was that came out of this swamp. They became demons, attacked the other villagers, and turned them into demons as well. That's right. It was a weird infectious disease that broke out of the swamp. It made the infected people go out of control. The villagers saw this disaster and explained it like so. Evil demons came from the bottom of the swamp, possessed people, and turned them into demons as well. That is the truth of the story for the demons that came out of the Onigafuchi
確かに
swamp.
それだと伝説をうまく説明できるな。
You want this one too, Sayara? There you go. This one's all for you. A tree virus!
じゃあお社様ってのはひょっとして異国から来た医者？
そうだね。正確には正しくないけど、そう、医者と呼べる存在。それが降臨して伝染病を治療したの。でもそれは治療ではなく対処療法でしかなかった。
All his treatment could do was reduce the symptoms of the infection. Villagers could have their symptoms suppressed, but there was no way to kill the parasites that had infested them. After a while, the village was divided into two groups. One group was made up of people who were already infected, and the other consisted of people who weren't. Without a cure for the disease, the uninfected looked down on the people who could only suppress their violent symptoms. They even talked about drowning them in the swamp, but they knew killing the infected people wouldn't solve the problem. The parasites came out of their water sources, including Onigafuchi Swamp. They couldn't fill them all in, for if they did that, they would lose their access to drinking water. They could have chosen to leave the village, but that was hard for them, for that was the location of their ancestors' graves. Under the power of Oyashiro-sama, infected people could live without showing symptoms. So those who were infected and those who weren't decided to live together equally and coexist with the parasite. Let's coexist with the pandemic, everybody. That's the smart thing to do. Goddamn video games. I'm supposed to be escaping reality. Oyashiro-sama was impressed by the villagers' decision. He decided to stay there and continue to treat them.
お社様がこの地にとどまり、人と鬼の生活を見守ったの真相か。
Yep. Like I was thinking about that when you posted that screenshot. I was like, all right, 428 has that whole pandemic thing going on too, like with the dirty bomb.
そしてお社様は感染者である村人たちに症状を出さないために掟を作った。
Yeah, there's a lot going on in
その
428,
最
to
大
be
にして
fair.
唯一のものが、村から出てはいけない、外から人を入れてはいけないだったの。
外から人を入れてはいけないってのはわかるぜ。感染者を増やさないためだろ。でも出てはいけないってのはどういう意味なんだ？
寄生虫たちは気候や風土の関係でこのひなみ沢の地でしか生きられないらしいの。だから宿主である感染者がこの地を離れようとすると強い症状を出してそれを妨害するの。その妨害こそがいわゆるお社様のたたりの正体。
The strongest symptoms of the infectious disease were violence and delirium. The infected people acted like demons, and the impact of seeing them in the throes of the disease was long enough to make others describe them as such. They couldn't even let people leave who had just come to the village. If they had left after being infected, they might go crazy in a faraway land, turn into a vicious demon, and cause a disaster. Infected people were never allowed to leave. When an infected person left the village, they brought him back by any means necessary. That was what it really meant to be demoned away.
ちょっと待てよレナ。だとしたら俺やレナも村人はみんなその病気に感染してる
Yo,
ことに
we're
な
all
るんだ。
infected! Awesome! It means you don't have to be all that weirded out by this, Rena. Like, we've all got it. It's fine.
でも俺たちはひなみ沢を離れたって別に何の問題もないぞ。実際村人にも結婚したりして遠方に住んでる人も少なく
Wanna
ないら
trade
しいじゃないか。
maggots? Aww. That'd be sweet. I would trade blood maggots with each and every one of you, just so you know.
ひなみ沢をちょっと離れたからって錯乱して鬼と化したなんて聞いたことないぞ。
そう。それはまさにお社様の目論見通りにことが進んだからなんだよ。意味がわかるかな。この村を長い間封印してきたのは寄生虫の害を弱めるためなの。
Hosts are very important for parasites. If something happens to the host, the parasites that live in the host have to share the same fate. In other words, if the host went crazy and attacked people, the host would be captured and killed, which means that the parasites would die with the host too.
そうか。自然淘汰か。
さすが圭一君。そう。この地で長く生活を重ね、厳しい戒律で生活を続けた結果、寄生虫に対し過敏な人間は錯乱して結局殺された。また感染者を錯乱させてしまうような強すぎる寄生虫はこれもまた錯乱した宿主と共に殺された。その結果寄生虫と人間は互いに相性がいい種だけが残っていった。これこそがお社様の伝説が伝える鬼と人の血は混じり合ったことの真相。
じゃあつまりその寄生虫はほとんど無害なわけなのか。
うん。ミオさんのスクラップ帳によるとそういった無害な寄生虫に感染しているケースというのはかなり多いんだって。食文化にもよるけど例えば生肉を食べる国では国民の8割くらいが感染している例もあるんだって。
Let's inhabit the virus!
でも矯正できてて人体に全く無害だから誰も治療しない、気づかない。だから撲滅もされない。
なるほどな。
太古の綿流しはね、実は腹綿流しと書く物騒なものでね、錯乱した犠牲者の臓腑を食らうものだったの。
Yeah, I was...
これも必要なことだ。
Given that I knew where this chapter was going, that one being called Infestation, that like, I'd kind of already, you know, my mind was already like, yeah, Infestation, you say.
感染して犠牲になった人を食らう。まさかワクチンとか。
圭一君はやっぱり頭がいいね。うん。ミオさんもそう読み解いてる。伝説では犠牲者を生きたまま解体して食らったなんて物騒なことになっているけど、 実際はそんな野蛮なものじゃなくて、
We did our cannibalism in a nice, sterile, scientific way.
強すぎる寄生虫のせいで死んだ犠牲者からワクチンを作り出し、同時に村人の抵抗力も高めていった。
お社様ってのは何者なんだよ一体。医学先進国っていうとドイツか。
Was he German?
正体はひょっとしてナンパして流れ着いた外国人医師。
多分圭一君の答えが一番一般的だと思う。ドイツ人ではないんだけど、とりあえず医者的な存在であったのは正解。
古代の伝説の秘密が明かされていくってのはなんだか面白いな。
I don't think that Rena's story is too crazy to be true anymore. It still sounds crazy, of course, but I've never heard any theories that explain the legend of this village better than this one.
多分俺も感染してるんだよな。なんだか体中が痒くなってくるぜ。
人間だって一つの宇宙だよ。体の中には無数の細菌たちが住んでいる。その中には私たちの生活には欠かせない有用な細菌たちも少なくないんだよ。
ああ、よくヨーグルトとかの CM で言ってるよな。確かにそうだ。
Shoutouts to yogurt. Had some strawberry yogurt earlier. It was real good.
これもミオさんの受け売りだけど、例えばシロアリっているでしょ。木材を食い荒らしてしまうアリ。実はシロアリって木材を消化できないんだって。
I will now tell you about termites.
体内に寄生している特殊な細菌が食べた木材の繊維を分解してくれて、その結果シロアリは木材を吸収できるんだって。これも寄生虫と共生している一例だね。
I didn't know that. When I hear the word parasites, I feel creeped out and almost instinctively, but now I know some of them aren't so bad to
だから
us.
太古の昔に鬼ヶ淵村から突如発生した奇怪な伝染病は今ではほぼ根絶されたと言っていい。根絶じゃないね。無害になったと言うべきだね。
最初はとんでもない話だと思ってたけどさ、こうして種明かしがされるとなんだかサイエンスな感じがしてちょっと面白い話だよな。
私たちには面白いよ。でもお社様を神として崇める人たちにとってはこれはとても不愉快な説。
Of course. If Takano-san's theory is correct, Oyashiro-sama isn't a god, and the punishment by that god, namely the curse of Oyashiro-sama, that people had been so afraid of, will turn out to have just been the symptoms of an infectious disease. I see. That's what dethroning God would mean.
だとすると、もしこの伝染病の病原体を特定して世間に発表されるようなことがあれば、信仰は破綻しちまうな。
そう。
Oh, perspective shift.
それこそが彼らの一番恐れることなの。そしてミオさんはその病原体を特定しようとしていたらしい。そのミオさんが消されたということは。
特定できたってことが。
かもしれないね。
That's like number one on my agenda at all times, Taylor.
ミオさんはもういないし、彼女のスクラップ帳にも特定できたとは書かれていない。でも消されるに値する理由が他に思いつかないの。
でもよ、20世紀ももうすぐ終わろうっていう現代だぜ。村人だっていろんな医療機関で検査を受けてきたはずだ。なのにそういう怪しげな寄生虫が摘出されたって話はないんだろ
う。うん、確かに病原体そのものは未だ発見されていない。でも確かに何かの規制を受けていることの信号だけは確認されているんだって。
なんだって？本当かよ。
When a parasite enters a human's body, the body's immune system cells, eosinophils and macrophages, try to kill the parasite. They secure an antibody called immunoglobulin E, IgE. The most common way of checking if a person is infected by a pathogen is to look at the levels of this secretion. According to Tagano's research, people from Hinamizawa have a very high level of IgE in their blood. That's not all. They also have obvious symptoms of being infected by parasites. They don't have any allergies. Well, guess what? I ain't got no fuck. God, I got allergies like fuck. IgE stimulates mast cells, and those secrete histamines and serotonin as a result. These cause an allergic reaction. The allergic reaction isn't pleasant for humans, but it is necessary for the body to kill the pathogen. But the parasites don't want to be killed, so of course they secrete substances that counteract IgE. As a result, IgE stops stimulating the receptors of the mast cells, which stop secreting the chemical compounds. As a result, the antigen-antibody reaction, namely the allergic reaction, doesn't occur. In other words, a human body that was infected by a parasite secretes a high level of IgE but doesn't display allergic reactions. For your information, a human body that's infected by a parasite doesn't suffer from hay fever. But you get hay fever due to your body secreting a large amount of IgE because it's mistaken pollen as a parasitic invasion. As a result, a large amount of stimulants like histamine will be secreted, but your body can't contain the parasite as it's attempting to kill. That's why your body continues to secrete IgE. As a result, the stimulants keep causing allergic reactions. That's how hay fever works. If you have a parasite in your body, it'll deactivate your IgE and suppress the secretion of stimulants. As a result, you don't have an allergic reaction. In other words, there's no hay fever in Hinamizawa, and you can cure your hay fever by moving here. Fantastic!
つまり特定はできなくてもその存在だけは疑いようがないってわけだ。
You blanked out for a second and thought we were talking about nanomachines.
そうなるね。
だとするとそのスクラップ帳は信心深い連中にとっては十分危険な存在だな。たとえ特定できなくても存在を証明している時点で十分に危険だと思うぞ。
そうだね。たとえ証拠にはならなくても彼らにとってはミオさんを葬るに値する危険性があったと思う。
確かに恐ろしい秘密だな。ちゃんと説明してもらえば理解できることだが、いきなり聞いたら刺激が強すぎる話だぜ。
でしょ？だから私も最初は信じられなかったし、圭一君に話しても信じてもらえないと思った。
で、大事なのはその事実を隠蔽しようと暗躍してるヤバい連中がいるって方なんだよな。
そう。今大事なのはそっちの方。
The fanatics who want to revive the sanctity of the god they worship, reviving the majesty of their god means reviving the power of that god, and the power of the god is the infectious disease. The infectious disease can't spread nationwide, unlike other infectious diseases. So from now on, I'm going to start calling it an endemic disease. That fits better since it only affects this region. Anyway, the endemic disease of current-day Hinamizawa is different from the one of old times. It's different through a process of natural selection, and it's harmless now. In other words, it doesn't do any harm to human bodies. The harm was once interpreted as a curse. A curse is the power of a god, so a harmless endemic disease means that the god is powerless. That means that the only way to regain the majesty of that god is to revive the curse. In other words, they want to bring back the primitive endemic disease, namely the harmful, strong version of the parasite.
ちょっと待てよ。信者たちは神が実は寄生虫だったなんてことは否定したいんだろう。なのに寄生虫を研究するのかよ。矛盾してないか。
I mean, yeah, that sounds like religion's natural reaction to anything that disproves anything, really. No, we'll just deny it and resort to violence.
矛盾しているよ。だからこの研究は信者たちのトップだけが知る秘密の研究なんだと思う。彼らは表向きは信仰を盛り上げているけど、その裏では信仰の正体について極めて冷静に理解していて、神の技を自らの手で復活させようとしている。
Also, is it me or is her text redder than yesterday? I have a little color blindness, so I can't 100% tell.
なるほどな。おいおい、なんだかとんでもない話になってきたぞ。
ミオさんのスクラップ帳にはそうとは一言も書かれてないんだけど、 私、監督の診療所って怪しいと思うの。
入江診療所が
The Irie Clinic?
どうして？
ひなみ沢の規模から見て、施設が立派すぎるのがその理由。そして、ミオさんはそこに勤めていた。監督は、園崎家にスカウトされてきた細菌学者が正体とか。
監督がか？
ミオさんは、余計なことを知りすぎたから消されたんだ
The
と思う
pervy
の。
doctor.
なのに、監督が消されない理由は、監督は信者たちに依頼されている立場だから。
Oh. That's not a bad line of thinking.
そして、太古の有害な風土病を研究してる。
She is a detective type character for a reason, I guess. She's really good at logicking this shit out.
あの監督が。
ごめん。監督は無関係かもしれないね。今のは私の思いつき。でも、研究は間違いなく、どこかで誰かにさせている。そして、その研究には5年かかり、ついに完成を見た。
The first case was a dismemberment murder by the dam construction workers. Their quarrel had turned into a lynching. They might have had the primitive infectious disease, and the symptoms, the aggression and delirium, might have kicked in. The victims of the second year were Satoko's parents. There were no witnesses, so the whole event is veiled in mystery, but there's a theory that someone might have pushed them over the cliff, since the fence of the observation deck that they fell from was quite sturdy. What if one of them was infected by the primitive parasite? He or she may have become violent and pushed the other over the cliff. The Shinto priest died from a disease and his wife drowned herself in the third year. He might have died of shock because of the hypersensitive reaction to the infection. His wife might have gone crazy and committed suicide when one of the symptoms, delirium, kicked in. In the fourth year, Satoshi Hojo's aunt was beaten to death, probably by Satoshi himself. Everybody who knew Satoshi-kun remembers how he changed at that time. He showed signs of being both aggressive and delirious. In the fifth year, for the first time in 5 years, the victim experienced the maggot disease described in the old scroll of the Furude Shrine. The reason behind that is unclear, but the stronger primitive parasite could have given its victims a delusion of maggots. This means that they finally managed to duplicate the curse of Oyashiro-sama. This means that they finally managed to replicate the curse of Oyashiro-sama after 5 years of research. Tomitaki-san is the victim of the 5th year. He died in an extremely abnormal way, and I'm the only one who understands his death because I experienced the same thing. He kept clawing at his throat to get rid of maggots and died as a result. With all that explained, I finally understand the maggot disease I experienced at Ibaraki. I left Hinamizawa and it made the parasite in me uncomfortable. As a result, it tried to resist, even though it wasn't very strong, and it tried to make me homesick. But with my parents' divorce, I grew mentally unbalanced and I completely lost the power to resist for a period of time. The parasite was weak and harmless, but my mental instability allowed it to worsen my symptoms dramatically. As a result, I went crazy and became violent. The delusion of Oyashiro-sama appearing to me in the bathroom was probably the terminal phase of my delirium. I created the supernatural existence Oyashiro-sama that I was instilled with when I was little. Then I persuaded myself to go back to Hinamizawa based on that delusion. Some of the transcendents of Onigifuchi must have had the same kind of experience. They must have passed their experiences down as the acts of a god. I remember I once saw on TV that the indigenous people of South America used some kind of natural drug in order to have a mystical experience, and that they called it a ritual to communicate with their gods.
じゃあ、信者どもの目的は、その太古の寄生虫をひなみ沢中にばらまくことなのか?
You having a thinky dinky, Sayara?
多分、それが最終目的だと思う。でも、人知れずにそれをやることはないと思うの。宗教にはセレモニーが必要だから。だからもし、彼らが望むものを生み出せて、
What you having a
それ
thinky
をば
dinky
らま
about?
く日が訪れたなら、彼らは多分そ
I
れ
mean,
を
I'm not going to confirm or deny either way. Y'all are more than welcome to talk this out.
宗教的なデモンストレーション
But
をす
I'm
る
not
と
going to
思う
confirm or deny anyway. The maggot disease.
何か特別な儀式とか、とにかくお社様の復活を祝い知らしめるような盛大な何か。
なあ、それってよ、悪いことなんだよな。
You are
危険性
correct.
の高い病原体をばらまこうというんだから、多分悪いことに分類されるだろうね。
それって、
I think I see where you're going with this line of logic.
おい、めちゃくちゃやばいことだぞ。おい、富武さんの死に方がお社様のたたりの再現に成功していた以上、 X デーは間近ってことなんじゃないのか。
わからない。
It could be bioterrorism.
もう秒読みなのか、まだまだ時間のかかることなのか。
もうこれはレナ一人が抱えていい問題じゃないぞ。かなり笑えない大陰謀だぞ。俺たちにはどうしようもない。警察に任す方がないぞ。
私が話したこと、警察は信じてくれると思う？
I'm gonna call up my good pal Oishi and be like, "Hey, Oishi, I got this. I got some details on the maggot disease, and how we're gonna dethrone a god. You want to play mahjong and talk about it?"
信じるかどうかは向こうが判断するだろう。とにかく話した方がいい。
圭一君、それを大石さんに私が打ち明けたら、私がスクラップ帳を持っていることを告白するのと同じなんじゃないかな。
それってまずいのか？
大石さんの接触はミオさんが殺された後だった。敵はミオさんを殺した時点でスクラップ帳の紛失とその数日前に私が図書館で出会っていることを知っている。
バカな。
We just need to put him on the right track.
つまり、
そう。
Yeah, you are spelling the delicious version. But hey, Oishi is delicious.
大石さん自体が敵の手先である可能性がある。大石さんは私がスクラップ帳を持っている可能性があると当たりをつけていて、探りを入れてきているのかもしれない。
There you go. Drink it in! Drink it in! I love Oishi because he's so delicious!
実際、彼はうさんくさくて腹を割らない。園崎家を疑わせるようなことを言って、自分は味方だと言ってくるけど、彼だってその園崎家の手先かもしれない。
警察を疑い出したらおしまいだぞ。
圭一君、4年目の撲殺事件を知ってるよね。里子ちゃんのおばさんが殺された事件。あれは犯人はサトシ君以外に考えられないんだけど、その後犯人は麻薬中毒者だったということになった。これをどう思う？
警察内部に盲信的な連中の手先が混じっていて、犯人を捏造したってことか。
3年目の神主さんの病死の検視とか、2年目の北条夫妻の事故現場の見聞とか。警察がもしも彼らの片棒を担いでいるなら、数々の完全犯罪が可能になる。ひなみ沢御三家はダム戦争時から今日に至るまでもずっと警察への圧力を維持してるんだよ。それに沖宮の町のいろんなところに一族が進出して実権を握っているというのは、みーちゃんから聞かされたことがあるんじゃない？
確かに。それはミオンの口からだけじゃない。いろんな奴の口から聞かされた。ミオンの園崎家がどれだけ市内全域に強力な影響力を持っているかってのをな。
そういうこと。警察はこの土地では必ずしも信用できない。
なあ、レナ、すまん。先にはっきりさせたいんだが、黒幕は園崎家なのか？ミオンも関係があるってのか？それだけは先に聞かせてく
We're
れ。
going down this road again?
御三家であるみーちゃんやリカちゃんが直接関係しているかはわからない。ただ盲信的な勢力が御三家や 一番の有力家である園崎家を自由に動かせる中枢部に根付いているのは間違いない。盲信的な勢力が根付いたのか、御三家の中枢が盲信的なのかは分かりかねるけどね。
関係あるかどうかわからない以上、用心に越したことはないってわけだな。
うん。みーちゃんたちのことを疑うわけじゃないよ。普段のみーちゃんは頼もしいし、私も他の心配事なら打ち明けて助力を求めることもあると思う。ただ今回のことはちょっと話の次元が違う。
I would ask her for help on, and any problem, just not the one where I think she's probably a culprit.
圭一君は見たことあるかな。みーちゃんは普段はふざけているけど、園崎家の次期当主として振る舞うときはものすごく冷酷で別人みたいに振る舞えるの。それにもし無関係だったとしても、それならばやはり耳に入れることで危険に巻き込むことにもなるんじゃないかな。
ミオンたちが味方になってくれればかなり頼もしいぞ。俺は打ち明ける価値があると思うんだが。
だからそれはダメ。敵ではないと確認が取れるまでそれは避けるべきだよ。味方にできれば確かに心強いけど、そうでなかった時はどうするつもり？
じゃあ俺とレナだけでどう戦うつもりなんだよ。
うん。もともと最初から絶望的な戦いなんだよ。
Oh, good. Good. That's good.
だから圭一君を巻き込みたくなかった。
くそ、高野さんめ、とんでもない置き土産を残してくれたな。
Thanks, Takano. Much appreciated. Love it. Loving the gift you gave us. These scrapbooks, they're doing wonders for us right now, I have to say.
でもそのおかげでとてつもない陰謀を知ることができたんだよ。これはミオさんの遺言なんだよ、きっと。
村を影から牛耳る何者かに、その村に住まうガキンチョ2人が挑むわけだ。こいつは最高にハードな話だぜ。一筋縄じゃいかねえぞ。
でも圭一君が味方でよかったよ。
I think we're all just misunderstanding old dopey eyes. All you gotta do is kill all three.
二人だから話し合えて相談できる。
当たり前だろ。俺は最初からずっとレナの味方で仲間だぞ。
Power of friendship, everybody.
うん、ありがとう。二人なら心強いよ。
一人で悩むよりは
そうだね。二人でどう戦えばいいか、これからじっくり相談していこう。今日は私スクラップ帳を読み直す時間が欲しかったから休んだけど、明日からは普段通りに生活するね。
Yo, club activities again, everybody.
おかしな行動をすれば蹴取られてしまうかもしれないからね。
okay.
圭一君も変に構えないで普段通りに生活してね。みーちゃんとか時折鋭いことがあるから特に気をつけて。
わかった。何事もなかったかのように生活するよ。だが畜生、なんだか怖いぜ。とんでもない陰謀が間近に迫ってて、それがもうカウントダウンに入ってるかもしれないってんだぜ。それを知りつつ普段通りに生活しろってのも辛い話だよな。
多分そんなにすぐじゃないはずなの。さっきも言った通り、彼らが信心深ければ深いほど宗教的なセレモニーを必要とするはず。そういうセレモニーは村を挙げて行うものだもの。綿流し以上のイベントは今のひなみ沢には存在しない。
ということは、少なくとも来年の綿流しまでは大丈夫ということか。
Yo, this is gonna be dope. We're gonna spend a year being super secret detective buds with Rena. I can't think of being consigned to a better fate.
根拠のない読みだけどね。他に綿流し以上のイベントが思いつかない。
I think we have a year at least, but I also feel like we don't because I know how they killed Mio-san. I might not know, but there might be a bigger religious event than Watanagashi. It might not be long until that day. On the day of Oishiro-sama's revival, they're going to spread a dangerous parasite, and that day might just be around the corner.
レイナ、まだ電話してるのか？そろそろ終わりにしなさい。
My father stuck his head out from the living room, telling me I need to hang up soon. I thought about telling him so many times. It's natural to think that your parents will be on your side no matter what, but I know just how weak he can get, so I couldn't tell him. I don't think he'd believe me anyway. Even if I told him, he'd just tell me to call the police. It's better that I don't tell him. It might get close to my father to get me. If he didn't know anything about anything, including the scrapbooks, there'd be nothing to squeeze out of him to begin with.
ごめんね、ケイチ君。今夜はもう遅いから、これで切るね。また明日、学校で。
おう、また明日、学校で。
用心してね。ケイチ君も、もう部外者じゃないんだから。
おう、せいぜい気をつけるぜ。
I remembered the suspicious men in the white van and felt a chill run through my spine. They looked like villagers, but they weren't. They had the village accent, and they were just pretending. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious they became. It let me know that Rena and I aren't safe. If Rena is right, they're just suspicious of her, and they're not sure if she has the scrapbooks or not. But it's still creepy. Rena had probably experienced the same creepiness I felt when I saw the van several times up till now. She must sense danger more than I do. However, the fact that they weren't attacking, that they were merely observing us, was disturbing. If they attacked her, she could have done something, like going to the police, but all they're doing is just watching her from a distance. She can't do anything about it. She can't talk to anybody about it. She probably just wants to stay in her house all day, but if she acted different, they might take it as proof that she has the scrapbooks. We have to think about how to fight against them without making it obvious. I told myself that there was no going back, and I put the phone down. That was an unusually quiet chapter. The next day, Rena came to school acting normal like she said she would. Stalking is also illegal. Yeah, the police aren't going to give a shit. She talked with me on as cheerfully as she always did, and it made me wonder if the story she told me last night was a complete fabrication. That's because the story really was too ridiculously crazy to believe. The village is a very weird and rare endemic disease, and there are religious fanatics who want to use the disease to revive their weird cult. And they've been researching the pathogen of the endemic disease so they can spread it throughout the village. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night, and I believed everything she said, but thinking about it with a cool mind under the bright sunlight, it sounds too crazy to be true. The story Rena told me was based on Takano-san's crazy hand-me-down ideas. It's based entirely on her theories, which, though very feasible, have no evidence whatsoever. The fact that Takano-san was murdered lends credit to this story. I'll give you that, but I looked at Mion. She was fooling around with Rena. It's hard to believe that she's involved in some crazy conspiracy. Dolls! Thank you for the host. I take it. You got evicted. That's my guess. How went the eviction? Not until February. Interesting. So you're good. Fantastic. So did you finish the game or because I think that's a bad ending. How's it going, Raven? Hope you are doing well. Welcome. Oh, you're gonna finish tomorrow? Yeah, that game's got a good ending. I promise you. No bad endings in Higurashi, though. It's all good times. It's hard to believe that she is involved in some crazy conspiracy.
っていうか、聞いてないでしょ、ケイちゃん。
悪い。ごめん、聞いてなかった。
You'll start Chrono Cross. Nice, nice. Jetstorm's been streaming Chrono Cross as of late as well. So that's like 2 people I follow now that are getting into that game again. You really got to get back to that Hall. You absolutely do. It's a very good video game. Sayara?
まだ寝ぼけたまんまなのかな。寝不足だとおつむもちゃんと働かないよ。
Oh, wow. Mia made fun of me for reacting too slowly. It's almost impossible not to trust this bubbly, cheerful girl. I trust Mion. I trust my friends. I knew she'd never have a hand in a crazy conspiracy like that. If she knew about it, she wouldn't be able to act this cheerfully. Rena told me not to tell Mion because she might be one of them, but it might be worth telling her without letting Rena know. Uh-oh. Is my boy Keiichi about to make a good decision? Trademark? Is my boy Keiichi about to make very good decisions? Oh, it's been so long since our boy Keiichi has made very good decisions. You wrote yourself notes, stress and loss transformation. Oh, okay, I see what you're talking about now. Gotcha. Of course, there's at least a 1% chance that the conspiracy is true and that Mion is one of them. If so, I'd be doomed. But if I had to choose between believing the crazy conspiracy theory and trusting my friends, my answer would be obvious. I know that my friend Mion isn't a part of any conspiracy. She'd never be involved with something like that. Even if the conspiracy exists, I'm sure Mion will be on our side. So whether or not it's true, it must be worth telling Mion about.
Nani, Kei-chan?
I think we're doing it. I think we're making a good decision, everybody. Woo!
こんなところに呼び出して。それも誰にも内緒で来いなんてさ。まさかカツアゲとかそういうのじゃないよね。
お前な、体育倉庫の裏に呼ばれたら真っ先にそう思うのかよ。
じゃあラブレターとか？
Alright, who's giving Mion a love letter? Who's doing it? Gosh.
でもそういうのは下駄箱が定番じゃない？
都会じゃそうでもないぞ。直接渡す白兵線型も少なくない。
じゃあ
なわけねえだろ。それよりかなり真面目な話がある。茶化しは一切なしで聞いてくれ。
何よ、どうしたの？
There you go. Taylor's got the right idea. Yeah, yeah. Probably not a good idea to be giving a 16 to 17-year-old a love letter when you are pushing 30.
お社様信仰を復活させようとしている連中がいる。ってのは知ってる。
Yo, he's just diving right in. He's just diving right in. This is good decisions, my bar over here.
は？何、ケイちゃん。何の話？
This, of course, was my way of getting a feel for the situation. I wanted to see how she was going to react by getting straight to the point. But Mion really did look puzzled. Yeah, like, these characters, like, in 2020, they're actually quite a bit older than us. People wouldn't normally react like this if someone pointed out their secrets out of the blue. They always panic, if just a little. Either Mion is a brilliant actress, or she really didn't have anything to do with the idea of reviving Oyashiro-sama. I decided to tell her everything.
お前の家の園崎家って、ひなみ沢を含め、ものすごい影響力を持ってるわけだけどさ。お社様信仰を復興するため、何か暗躍してるってことはあるか？
Of course she does.
なんで？
いや、だからさ、今のお社様信仰って大昔の時代に比べたらだいぶ信仰心が薄くなってるだろ。それをさ、大昔の鬼ヶ淵村のレベルまで引き戻したいと思っている。いわゆる原理主義者的な連中が暗躍をしてるんじゃないかって。
はい、ちょっと何よそれ。何の話なわけ？
本当に何の話かわからないのか？
わかるわけないよ。何その全米第1位みたいな面白ストーリーはさ。
Yeah, she was 3. Mion's reaction was very natural. It seemed impossible that she was pretending she didn't know anything about it. But regardless, I
だか
continued.
らそういう連中がこの村にいるら
I
しいん
thought
だよ。
Rugrats was like 92 or so.
ミオは知らないか？
お社様信仰を鬼ヶ淵村の時代のレベルに？
91? Okay, gotcha.
そんなことして何かいいことあるの？
いや、それは信仰の厚い盲信的な連中にとってはとても重要な意味があるんじゃないかな。
だってケイちゃん、大昔の厳しい戒律の頃に逆戻りって誰も喜ばないよ。今のこの現代、村から出るななんて言われたら生活なんかやってられないって。
例えばほら、リカちゃん。リカちゃんって何でもお社様の生まれ変わりとか言ってちやほやされてるらしいだろ。
Yeah, Keiichi is beyond feeling out the situation at this point. He is balls deep in the situation. Like, we have fully blown out the whole idea of, I'm gonna hint around about this and see how it's going.
そういった取り巻きの老人たちの中にはきっと執着的な一派が存在して。
リカちゃんの取り巻きっていうと君吉のおじいちゃんとかのこと？まあ確かに信仰心は熱い方だと思うけど、盲信的ってのはどうかと思うね。
Uh-oh, Sayara's future came true. Nippon! That's just for you, Sayara. That one's only for you.
いや、だからいるんだよ。本来のお社様信仰を再び復活させようとしている輩が。
You feel revived.
話が進まないからこの場は信じるよ。
Alright, dolls, you take it easy. Enjoy dinner. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the hosts. I'll be stopping by your place tomorrow to check out the end of Valhalla. This is a good video game.
それで？
で、そいつらはお社様の正体がこの土地独特の風土病にあることを
But
突
you
き
have
止め、
yourself a good evening.
そ
and
の
all
病
that
原
good
体を
stuff.
研究しているらしいんだ。
どこで？というか風土病って何？病原体って何よ？縁がちょ。
You're using too big of words for this poor girl. She can't fit them all in her head. I was getting confused. I didn't know what I was talking about myself anymore. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night and believed everything she said. But having said it all out loud, I started realizing how impossible the story sounded.
どうしたの？ミオさんに妙なことでも吹き込まれたわけ？
知ってるのか？
有名だよ。あの人オカルトマニアだからいっつもとんでもない空想話をでっち上げてる。たまに真に受ける人がいるとかなりヘビーに吹き込むって有名なんだよ。私も昔話を聞かせてもらったことがあったけど結構面白かったな。
それって本当か？
ケイちゃんもどこかで耳にしてるだろうけど、この村は大昔はちょっと特殊な文化があった。それは少し刺激の強い要素のある文化でね。厳しい戒律と厳しい刑罰、残酷な風習は割とオカルトマニアの間では知られてるらしい。ミオさんもそんなマニアの中の一人。
じゃあこの村が怪しげな寄生虫に支配されているという話は？
はあ？寄生虫？それミオさんの新作？
新作ってどういうことだよ？
言ったでしょ、ミオさんはオカルトマニアなの。鬼ヶ淵村の奇怪な伝説などを研究して、あれやこれやの仮説や推理、妄想を楽しんでるわけよ。だからその寄生虫に村が支配されてるって説以外にもいろいろ創作してる。私がずいぶん前に聞いたのは UFO 説だったよ。
Oh, UFOs! Fantastic!
これが結構辻褄があってて面白いの。太古の昔に鬼ヶ淵村に UFO が墜落して、そこから出てきた異星人と村人で戦いが起こってという感じから始まる B 級 SF ホラーだった。
I'm not saying it's aliens, but...
サトコが聞かされたってのは地底人説だったかな。
Sarah. A picture of Takano as the I'm not saying it's aliens guy. I'm just planting the seed. I'm not saying do it. I'm just planting a seed.
地殻変動によって地底王国と鬼ヶ淵村の間に接点ができてしまって、それでなんだっけかな。そうそう、地底王国のお姫様と村の若者が恋をして互いに仲直りをしたっていう SF ロミオとジュリエットだった。
Oh my god.
で最新作がどうやらケイちゃんの聞かされた寄生虫説ってわけみたいだね。いやいや、いつかそれらを全部まとめて本にしてほしいよ。
Mion began laughing so hard that she had to hold her stomach. As I looked at her laughing like that, I realized I fell for something that ridiculous. At that point, it was obvious. I had been completely
す
taken
まんミ
in.
オ、俺がこれから聞くことに答えてくれ。まずお社様信仰を復活させようとする連中は実在する？
しないよ。というかむしろ逆。南沢は外部に対してどんどん開いていって栄えさせていこうということで、御三家はすでに意見を統一してる。これはまだ内緒なんだけど、21世紀までをめどにね、新しい高速道路がここいらを通るという
Oh
計画がある
dang,
ん
we're
だ
just
よ。
opening the borders up, aren't
園
we?
崎家は現在水面下でその誘致をしててね。
Lots of delicious
うまく
outside.
いけばここいらは一気に栄えることになる。バッチャはそれによって山林の地価が一気に高騰して大儲けできると踏んでるみたいだよ。まあ21世紀の仕事だから、それは私が引き継ぐ大仕事になりそうだけどね。
じゃあ外部の人間を意味嫌う連中なんてのは存在しない？
だからそんなの存在しないって。ただでさえ不便な村をさらに不便にしてどうするんだか。現に村は今別荘地として売り出しを開始してる。ケイちゃんの家はまさにその第1号じゃないの。
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
村人はみんな歓迎してくれたでしょ。若者の流出を食い止めるため御三家もいろいろと考えてるんだから。
There was nothing vague about what Mion had said. Her story makes a lot more sense than Takano-san's delusional theories. And so, Mion's words woke me up from that
じゃあ
delusion.
あれはどうだよ。寄生虫の感染の証拠を示す血液中のなんとかとかいう数値がひなみ沢の住民だけ異常に高いみたいな話が。
そうなの？というかミオさんはそんなのどうやって調べたわけ？
だって高野さんは看護師だろ。調べる気になればいくらだって。
そんな怪しげな調査のために誰が血液採取なんかに協力するの？誰もしないって。それに仮に採血をしたってどこでどう調べたわけ？ミオさんがたった一人で一体何人の血を調べられたっていうわけ？
Mion was right. I couldn't believe I thought Takano-san could do all that just because she was a nurse. It struck me hard to believe that reading, how does it work? It struck me hard to believe that she got that many blood samples and did a high level of examination like that without any help. When I thought about it rationally, I shouldn't have believed such a ridiculous story so easily.
寄生虫の規制の証拠として、俺が見た限りでは、 花粉症にかからないって聞いたぞ。
花粉症って都会の病気じゃないの。あれは確か排気ガスと関係があるんでしょ。ここはひなみ沢だよ、ケイちゃん。というか多分沖宮の人にだって花粉症なんてそうそういないと思うけど。
じゃああれは園崎本家当主直属の暗殺部隊ってのがいて、
Boy, he's
昔
just.
大臣の孫の誘拐とかをやったんだろう。
I love that he's just like there's no filter at this point. It's just all spilling out.
そんなのがいたらかっこいいね。
Don't give this girl a death squad. She already plays for keeps enough as it is. Even I was sounding ridiculous, but I believed all of it last night. I believed it because Rena looked very serious.
大臣の孫が高
No,
津戸のあた
it
りで
needed to
突
be
然発見
sounded
されたの
very
は事実。
serious. There, she didn't look very serious on the phone. Keiji Maibara. Satoko is probably her death squad.
だけれどあれは私たちじゃない。私たちじゃないけど、それを私たちはさも自分たちが犯したように振る舞ってた。
わかりにくいぞ。説明してくれ。
うん。ダム戦争の当時、鬼ヶ淵死守同盟は相当に物騒な抵抗運動をしていたのは事実。脅迫めいたこともやってのけた。でもね、あの当時それを利用するやらしい連中もいたらしいの。鬼ヶ淵死守同盟の名を語って金品を要求したりするエセ同盟って連中。
The Onikabuchi Guardians were a very aggressive force at the time. There's a high possibility that some thought that they could use the name to extort money.
その中に大臣の孫の誘拐もあったの。おそらく誘拐犯たちは警察の捜査の撹乱を狙って死守同盟のふりをして身代金を要求したんだと思う。正直あの事件は同盟にとっても驚きだったよ。よく大臣の孫を誘拐できたもんだって話題になったね。犯人たちに会えたら表彰してやろうなんて盛り上がったっけ。
ちょっと待て。じゃあ大臣の孫の誘拐は、鬼ヶ淵死守同盟は何も関係ないのかよ。
うん、全くない。
Mion said it firmly. It was a simple and clear answer which left no room for suspicion. And thinking about it, it's nothing surprising. Kidnapping the grandson of a minister and negotiating with him in person is a huge deal. The Onikafuchi Guardians were a very aggressive group, but their operation wasn't so easy that it could be carried out by any of the normal residents of Hinamizawa. It was obviously the work of professional criminals, without a doubt.
ただね、さっきも少し言いかけたけど、園崎本家はね、この誘拐事件を自分たちが黒幕であるかのように振る舞っていた。
振る舞ったってのはどういうことだ。
これは園崎本家の秘密の家訓なの。ケイちゃんにはこっそり話すけど、話したことは内緒だよ。園崎本家ではね、自分たちに都合がいい何かの事件が起こった時、あたかもそれが自分たちの差し金であるように振る舞うブラフの伝統があるの。
Well, she is being real upfront about a lot of things that she has not been upfront about with in the past.
ブラフってはったり？
うん。自分たちに利することがあったなら、それは事件でなくてもいい。お天気でもいいし、宝くじの当選番号でもいい。あたかも園崎本家が望んだからそのような結果になったかのように振る舞うの。そうするとどう？なんだかものすごい黒幕ってイメージになるでしょ。つまりはそういうこと。これは園崎本家の当主だけに代々公伝で伝承される秘密のイメージ戦略なの。自分たちを本来よりもより強大に見せようとするイメージ戦略。
じゃあほら、ダム戦争時に 建設省を占拠するって作戦があったんだろう。
Alright, Styles, you have a good one. I'll probably send the crowd over your way once we're finished. So, have a good one. Now, I'll be hanging in your stream and probably doing some game makey stuff myself. But yeah, I'll send the peeps over your way.
あれはしかもそのために武器やら訓練やら。
それも全く同じだよ、ケイちゃん。そんなバカな作戦本当にやるわけないじゃん。最大の目的はあいつらならやりかねない、なんて恐ろしいやつらだっていうプレッシャーと幻想を与えるのが最大の目的だったんだよ。つまりこれもまたイメージ戦略ってわけ。
They obtained weapons and went through training just so they could exact pressure. They had no intention of actually carrying out the plan. The Sonozaki family was just bluffing. That made sense. Of course it did. It's impossible to attack the Ministry of Construction. Even if they did, it wouldn't solve the problem. All I had to do was use common sense. Even if they did, they would have been crushed within seconds by a huge number of policemen. Why didn't I think of that?
じゃあ武器とか訓練とかってのは。
武器に関してはノーコメントでいいよね。
No comments! Okay, there's... Look, we're probably strapped, okay?
訓練もやったよ。はったりになるようちゃんとしっかりね。
Welcome back, Star You Gaze. Hope you are well.
葛西さんをリーダーにお父さんとこの若い衆たちを引き連れてテキサスの砂漠でトレーナーさんと戦争ごっこをやった後はサンフランシスコでのんびり観光してた。
じゃあ
Good, glad to hear it.
じゃあ
I couldn't think of anything else. It was obvious now. Rena and I both were completely fooled by the scrapbooks of Takano-san's delusion. Rena was so serious about it, so I believed her, but if you examined it closely, there were so many inconsistencies. I couldn't believe Rena took a delusion like that so seriously. I knew the reason why, though. She was still in a state of shock after being caught with the corpses that day. She was mentally unstable. Then she came across this tall tale, and she believed it. Rena's a smart girl. She wouldn't have taken it seriously if she was stable. Plus, another thing happened to wake me up from this delusion. The white van I saw yesterday came to school during lunch break. The 4 men in work uniforms I saw were there too. I said thank you to Mion and followed them. The man who talked to me yesterday knocked on the door of the teacher's office.
毎度おこのぎ造園でございますね。
Okanogi Gardeners.
どうもご苦労様です。今日も暑いですね。
いえいえ、先生は今日もますますべっぴんで。
Don't hit on the teacher, you creepo.
ではすみません。今日もよろしくお願いいたします。
はい、よろしくお願いします。これ、うちの事務屋から渡すように言われましたんで。
見積書と請求書ですね。ありがとうございます。日付は空欄ですね。問題ありません。
Your curry is inadequate. How's it going, nerd? Hope you're well.
はい、お預かりします。
はい、それでは取り掛かりますんで。
The man was talking to Chie-sensei with a big smile.
どうしたのかね、前原君。
あ、校長先生、今の男の人は誰ですか？
The principal pointed his finger out at the window, and I looked out and I heard the noise of an engine starting. The noise was coming from the engine of a motorized lawnmower. I saw a young man in work uniforms taking another lawnmower, some brooms, and a ladder out of the van.
園芸業者さんである。だいぶ垣根や樹木が手入れされてなかったからの。夏前に一度剪定を頼もうと思ったのだよ。
ああ、校長先生。この度はお世話になりまして。
The man noticed the principal, took off his hat, and bowed.
よろしく頼み申しますぞ。
なんとか今日中で終わらせますんで。しばらくうるさくしますんが、ご容赦を。
Each worker took one of the tools and walked towards the fence where the grass was growing. The engine of the lawnmower was very loud, and the kids who were playing in the schoolyard looked at it curiously.
こら危ないですから皆さん教室へ戻りなさい
It was Chie-sensei. She handed an envelope with the documents to the principal. It said Okinogi Gardeners in green on the envelope.
では校長先生申し訳ありませんがこの請求書を後日市役所に行かれるときに持って行ってください
心得た。
千恵先生、あの造園屋さんは昨日も来てました？
ええ昨日の夕方に一度下見に来てもらいました。
Yeah, like it's the same way if you use the old school sprites, like if you use the original game's release sprites. She has the gun as well, and nobody mentions it. I think it is a reference to Gunsmith Cats, but I'm not entirely sure. And for all intents and purposes, I believe that Ryukishi has said it's just kind of like an air pistol. So, but yeah, she does have a gun. But I think it's just kind of there for reference, but it's not there in like the updated sprites.
帰りに近道をしようとして迷ってしまったと言ってましたっけ
Because they tried to take a shortcut.
この村は細い道はだいぶ入り組んでおるからの。無理もないわい。
I remember when I first came here, Chie-sensei started talking about when she got lost and they laughed together. There was never anything suspicious to begin with. I thought they were suspicious yesterday because of what Rena had told me. At first, I thought it wasn't unnatural to see a white van. But then, right after I heard her creepy story, I saw a white van parked on the road and I got scared. The gardeners weren't familiar with the roads of Hinamizawa and they got lost trying to find a shortcut on their way back. That's all. I had it totally twisted around? I believed the fake-sounding story. I believed that the Sonozaki family was working behind the scenes, and I fabricated the existence of a group of fanatical believers in my mind. Worse, I doubted Mion. Damn it! I'm such a fool. She's my friend. We took each other's hands that day, saying that we were a family made of friends, and that friends were friends no matter what. I said that, but then I doubted my friend. I'm so stupid. Anyway, Rena was the problem. She also needed to wake up from this crazy delusion. I had to hurry and wake her up. Rena seemed like she had no mind to listen to anyone else. She truly believes that the Sonozaki family are masterminds of a large-scale conspiracy. I remembered the plate number of the white van, and I also remembered their faces. Oh, this is probably going to be okay, right? Without a doubt, this was one of the vans that have been following me. So far, I've confirmed that 3 or 4 cars have been following me. I could especially recall this white van because it followed me around the longest of all. The people who were in the other cars must have been lookouts, and the ones in this van must have been tasked with direct contact, like kidnapping or assassination. It's probably fine. The lookouts secure the surroundings, and the ones in the van attack the target. That's a common maneuver involved in both kidnapping and assassination. The scrapbook said that, too. If so, I'd better watch out, because if it was them, then the lookouts who came to words, I'm trying to read them. If so, I'd better watch out, because it was them. Not the lookouts who came to the school premises. I don't think they'll attack me while I'm in school. They're in the early stage of their covert operation now, hiding their fangs and claws until the last stage of their horrifying scheme. That was why they won't take action in the school, where people are watching. But it looked like they were talking to Chie-sensei in a very friendly way. I could only hear bits and pieces of their conversation, but it sounded very suspicious. I tried to remember the chatter and the movements of their mouths, and I played my memory of it like a videotape in my mind.
毎度
どうもご苦労様です。今日も暑いですね。
いいえいいえ。今日
Yeah, I know, right? Weird.
ではすみません。今日もよろしくお願いいたします。
Oh my god, is she gonna Is the teacher now part of this conspiracy?
はい、よろしくお願いします。
Oh my god, what if Chie Sensei is the one giving the orders?
これ、うちの事務屋から渡すように言われましたんで。
とですね。ありがとうございます。わあ、空欄ですね。問題ありません。はい、お預かりします。
はい、それでは。りますんで。
I used the information I had to guess what was going on. I played the video again and again in my mind, and also paused it and played it in slow motion again to check many times. Then something unbelievably horrifying started to emerge. Oh boy. Oh boy. There's no doubt that they're acquainted. Oh no! Oh no! Curry teacher, no! But I've never seen them visit this school before, so it's hard to believe that Chie-sensei is their contact. There's no doubt that they're the death squad under the direct control of the Sonozaki family. They have the local accent, which proves they're chosen from the Sonozaki Corps. The death squad was talking with Chie-sensei. They know each other. What's their relationship? Who's Chie-sensei anyway? During the dam conflict, Hinamizawa School was closed and it was merged with the one in Okinomiya, but the Onikafuchi Guardians didn't accept that and they made the part of the Forestry Service building into a school. Maybe she has a string of lovers. But needless to say, the school they made didn't have a teacher, so it was only going to be a token form of resistance. But a teacher who had a strong passion for education felt sorry for the children, and she came to work there. That was Rumiko Chie-sensei. It was obviously strange. Teachers are government employees, and they normally belong to their prefectures. As long as they lie low and don't cause trouble, they don't get fired and they don't get demoted. They can work up until the official retirement age, and they're guaranteed to get a fixed retirement fund. She was one of those government employees, but she defied the Board of Education and came to work in Hinamizawa. The villagers admire her as a teacher of passion. I heard that Odio Sonozaki herself successfully negotiated with the Board of Education that suspended Chie-sensei for defying their orders. It was easy to get an answer from this by connecting the dots. This is so easy! Just this one random conversation that I am replaying in my brain. I have deduced all of this. Chie-sensei was recruited by Odio Sonozaki as a teacher to work at the school the Onikafuchi Guardians had created. In other words, she was already working for Odio before she came here. As for the principal, he was the principal of the school in Hinamizawa from the beginning. He's a respected person in this region, and he's been closely associated with the three families for a long time. So that means this school has been under the control of the Sonozaki family all along. That's why Chie-sensei is acquainted with the Death Squad. It makes sense now. Chie-sensei confirmed that I came to school today, made a phone call, and called them here. I don't want to know why she called them here. If she called them just to monitor me, they'd wait near the gate until class was over, but they came onto the school premises. Why? Stop pretending to be a fool, Ryugu. Don't you think nothing will happen? Do you think nothing will happen if you pretend to not notice it? Think hard, and calm down, Ryugu. What will they try to do to me today in school? In school? How are they going to do anything with my classmates and friends around me? It's easy. Chie-sensei will tell me to come to the teacher's office during the last class of the day. What about my clubmates? That's easy too. Chie-sensei can easily make them go home early using her authority as a teacher. She can then make up any reason she wants. Maybe the classroom is going to have carpentry work done today so they can't stay in school.
いいえいいえ。は今日。
ではすみません。今日もよろしくお願いいたします。
See, there's no doubt. They clearly said they're ready to do it today. And what else?
はい、よろしくお願いします。これ、うちの事務屋から渡すように言われましたんで。
とですね。ありがとうございます。わ、空欄ですね。問題ありません。はい、お預かりします。
I see. They gave Chie-sensei an envelope with some documents in it. That blank is an eerie phrase. Was my name supposed to be in the blank? Why was it left blank? What does it mean? I told you, Renaryugu. You still think that nothing will happen if you pretend not to notice it? Stop that. So what it must mean is that in order from higher up, it says to make Renaryugu become blank. Oh boy. Oh boy. Jeez. Oh my. This is oh wowie. I took a peek from the shadows and I saw the principal taking documents out from the envelope. He started reading them. He looked stern. He looked very serious. I wished I could take a peek at the documents, but I was too far away. I kept looking at him just to see if he'd react at all, and then the envelope caught my eye. The envelope said Okinoki Gardeners, and it had some numbers that looked like a phone number. Fortunately, I have good eyesight. I memorized the number. Give me just a second, I'll be right back. I have to take one quick little break here. Alright, sorry about that. If they're a death squad, the gardening company must be a camouflage occupation. It probably doesn't even exist. I wanted to find out. I looked for a phone. There's only one phone, and it's in the teacher's office. Fortunately, the teachers were chatting in the hallway, looking at the gardeners. It was now or never. I made sure nobody was watching me go into the teacher's office. I rushed in and grabbed the phone on the principal's desk. I went over the phone number in my head and dialed it up. Glad they made it a touch-tone phone. It would have been difficult if it was a rotary dial. If somebody answered, I'd have to ask, is this Okinoki Gardeners? I'd wait for the answer before hanging up. It should be easy. It connected. I felt a cold chill run through my body from the bottom of my feet. Wait, don't make a quick judgment. I might have remembered the number wrong. No, I know I remembered it right. It was an easy number to remember. It's impossible to remember it wrong. Then, did I dial it wrong? I put the phone down and started over. This time I dialed the number more slowly. The teachers might be coming back at any time. In that situation, it was risky to do anything slowly, but I needed to make absolutely sure. It's the same. There's no doubt. The company Okinoki Gardeners doesn't exist. It's just a camouflage occupation for the Sonozaki family's death squad. I was too stunned to put down the receiver. The announcement kept running over and over again. The voice was cold and creepy. I hung up the phone and rushed out of the teacher's office. I ran to the bathroom and held my head in an attempt to cool down. Calm down, Rena. Calm down, Renaryugu. Stay cool. Renaryugu, I wasn't safe anymore. If I stayed here, I might be erased, even in the open. They'd erase me? Why? They aren't certain that I have the scrapbooks. I told Keiichi-kun where I hid the scrapbooks. Oh, this is just going all kinds of bad. Yesterday I told him I hid them in my hideout in the garbage dump. Is Keiichi-kun in cahoots with the Sonozaki family? I felt as if my head was a pot that was cooking some dubious stew. There was only soup in my brain. Hey, Brenna, I think that, if you were to run this statement back into your head 3 or 4 more times, that might be the wisest decision right now. It's you might have some dubious stew in your brain. It's just soup in there right now. I cut up clues, information, and facts just like I'd cut up vegetables and threw them into the pot. Some of them were floating to the surface and others were at the bottom of the pot. They were being cooked into a boiling soup. No, it can't be. Keiichi-kun is on my side. He's the only one who's on my side. He held out his hand to me at the trash piles. There's no lie in that hand. When he grabbed my wrist, I felt nothing but his strong and pure heart. He promised me he'd be on my side. I shouldn't doubt Keiichi-kun. He's the only one I should trust. He's the only one who is on my side right now.
ごめん、ケイチ君。危うく君を疑いそうになった。本当にごめんね。本当にごめんね。
I said it out loud on purpose, full of regret that I had doubted Keiichi-kun, the only one who's on my side. Now that I think about it, whether I have the scrapbooks or not might not matter to them. Erase anyone who is suspicious. That's the safest way. Does that mean they're in a hurry? The day of Oyashiro-sama's revival might be just around the corner, and that's why they're trying to get rid of any small fish bones that are stuck in the throat by any means before it's too late. We don't need her anymore. Just erase her if you're worried so much. I could easily picture Oryo Sonozaki saying that. Picture? No, she did say that. That's why they're here today. What should I do? What should I do? Should I wait until school is over? I was like a fish in a pond. No matter how many times I escaped from the net, I was in the pond, and they own the pond. I didn't stand a chance. Then what should I do now? I couldn't keep escaping from the net. I should just get out of the pond. I don't know how to fight them. I didn't know who's on my side. I was about to give in to despair. For now, I'd have to think about how to survive this, so I'd at least have time to think about how to fight against them. I have to get out of this pond. When I was about to leave the bathroom, one of my classmates came in. I pretended to be sick and talked to the girl while leaning against the wall.
私、ちょっとどうしても具合が悪くて。早退するからって先生に伝えておいてくれないかな。
I shouldn't let Chie-sensei know that I'm leaving school early if I'm trying to run away from them, but if I didn't, they might think I ran away without cause. That might lead to some chase after me. That might lead them to chase me without mercy. If that happens, I don't stand a chance. They were planning to capture me after school is over, and I happened to feel sick and left early. If they took it that way, they wouldn't think that I noticed the noose tightening around me. I was about to go back to the classroom to get my bag, but I changed my mind and turned around. I didn't need my bag anymore. I realized nobody was watching me, so I stopped pretending to be sick and started running.
Chie 先生、ここがおかしいですぞ。
おかしい？どうかなさいましたか？
見積書と請求書の日付が空欄になっておりますぞ。ここは今日の日付ではないのですかな？
ああ、そこはお役所の都合らしいんです。見積書の日付と請求書の日付が同じだとなんだか都合が悪いそうで、庶務係さんから空欄にするようよく念を押されています。
あとそれから請求書に書いてある電話番号と封筒に書いてある電話番号が違っていますぞ。どちらが正しいのですかな？
あらやだ、本当ですね。社長さん。
はい、どうしましたんね。
請求書に書いてある電話番号と封筒の電話番号が違ってますけど、どちらが正しいのですか？
ああ
Yo, why are we chime-timing over a phone number?
請求書の方の電話番号が正しいんで大丈夫ですんね。先代の事務所の時の封筒がまだだいぶ余ってたもんなんで、それに入れてきてまったんですわ。すんませんね。バイトの子に全部新しい番号のハンコを押しとくように言ったんだけどな。すんまへん。消しておいてもらえますかね。
Oh, and we end on chime time! Oh my god! This game, I swear! Hey, it's a lunch takeout list! surely this will have many yummy foods for us to partake in. Let us see. The danger of a culture-bound syndrome lies in the fact that it can easily trigger delusional misidentification syndrome. That is to say, the current case, every time the patient sees something trivial, she tries to interpret it as a curse. And it's believed that as a result of the accumulation of these events in an understandable form, a delusional system is created, ultimately leading to paranoia. Furthermore, the patient is also exhibiting signs of a personality disorder. Of course, it's at a very mild level. It's not causing any hindrance whatsoever to the patient's daily life. It's common for even healthy individuals to have primary delusions in their daily lives, but they usually ignore it automatically without recognition, since those delusions are nonsensical. However, there are cases where the delusions accumulate, despite being incomprehensible. It largely depends on the particular characteristics of the individual, and it's believed that the patient shows relatively strong characteristics in this area. I believe you're very much aware that the primary delusions are categorized into 3 different kinds. Delusional mood is the feeling of impending crisis without basis. Delusional intuition is the feeling of a sense of duty or a goal without basis. Delusional perception is the feeling of baseless cause against a baseless target. In the patient's case, it's believed that these incomprehensible delusions accumulated acted out simultaneously with the culture-bound syndrome, which triggered a delusional misidentification syndrome, and it ultimately caused the incomprehensible delusions to become understandable by interpreting them as a curse. The comprehensible delusional system induces understandable secondary delusions, further strengthening the patient's delusional system with the passage of time. The delusional parasitosis mentioned earlier can be considered a secondary delusion. A common factor of all cases of paranoia is that after an outbreak, they still appear perfectly normal with no change in their personalities. The patients are unaware of their own ailments, and due to their personal interpretations of their delusional system, there are many cases where patients arm themselves logically, making it extremely difficult for a third party to point out they're having a delusion. Furthermore, although it might depend on the tendency of the delusions, there's also cases where a persecutory delusion turns into a pursuit delusion or a conspiracy delusion, resulting in the patient creating an imaginary enemy and taking up antisocial behavior. For example, there are cases where believers of a religious cult were deeply influenced by the cult founder's paranoid visions, which shifted the group into a conspiracy delusion, and that made them conduct antisocial behavior in the name of self-defense. Although there's no cases that have been reported in Japan yet, it could very well happen in the near future. Fortunately, the patient hasn't reached that serious of a condition as of now. With proper treatment, she could be able to make a full recovery. Please make sure that our father also understands this is not an unusual case, but something caused by the accumulation of a number of innocent factors that anyone can have. The patient can be treated only by deepening her bond with her father. As long as she has that bond, she can certainly be treated. For the reasons above, if the patient is to return to her home village, I strongly recommend the patient continue to receive guidance from specialized medical institutions. Please excuse me for writing such a long letter. Thank you for reading this until the very end. Well, that was a tasty lunch. Boy, oh boy. Things are certainly going down a road. What about lunch? Exactly. What about lunch? I believe the worst crime in all of this is that we did not get lunch. However, Sayara did do something. Hold on. I've got to bring this in. I've got to bring this in. Give me just one moment. This is amazing. It's real good, I promise. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I can't think of a better note to end on. Takano is not saying that it's aliens, but Fantastic. How's it going, Ding? You're just in time for us to end the stream.